In a world where Bitcoin and Ethereum steal all the headlines, I stumbled onto something that might put XRP in the driver's seat of a financial revolution. Sounds a bit crazy, I know, but by the end of this video you might just be as shocked as I am. So, let me set the scene. For us XRP holders, these past years have felt a bit like a long-awaiting game. Bitcoin rockets to new highs, Ethereum breaks a few records, and XRP, well, it's been chilling, moving sideways, making us question our own life choices. Now, I'm going to admit that I had moments of thinking, why am I still holding this coin? But then, out of nowhere, CNBC, yes, mainstream CNBC, drops a report that Ripple, the company that's behind XRP, is making moves that could redefine the future of finance. Suddenly, I'm paying very close attention. So, what's the big deal? Well, at Ripple's Swell 2025 conference in New York, CEO Brad Garlinghouse basically announced that they're not playing small ball anymore. They're directly targeting traditional finance. So let's think about that. A crypto company telling a room full of bankers, hey, we're coming for your business. It's pretty bold, right? Well, it's not just talk either. Ripple is aiming to merge blockchain technology with the existing banking system, essentially positioning XRP's ledger technology as a key settlement layer for big institutions. Garlinghouse even said that he wants to get ahead of where the market is going. The translation is that by the time that everyone even else kind of catches up, Ripple intends to be miles ahead, and from what I am seeing, they're actually putting their money where their mouth is. I mean, check this out. Ripple went on a shopping spree earlier this year, dropping nearly $4 billion on different acquisitions. Billions of dollars with a B, by the way, buying up companies like, they're collecting Pokemon cards. Right, they snapped up a prime brokerage company called Hidden Road for $1.3 billion, a treasury software firm called G-Treasury for another $1 billion. Why? Well, if you're trying to become the Amazon of crypto finance, well, you're going to need all the pieces, right? Brokerage, trading, custody, payments, you name it. And Ripple, it wants it all. And that's not all. Just last week, they actually announced something called Ripple Prime. That's basically an institutional crypto brokerage. Think VIP, over-the-counter trading for big players, with assets like XRP on the menu. Now, on top of that, Ripple secured another $500 million in funding, which pushed the company's valuation to a whopping $40 billion. They now have a war chest and an even bigger seat at the table in the financial world. Meanwhile, of course, and this is important, something interesting is happening in the background. Regulators and banks are actually warming up to crypto in ways that I didn't expect. Under President Trump's administration, the SEC and the CFTC, the big financial watchdogs, have actually softened their stance on digital assets. Now I know, it's pretty crazy, right? Because Garlinghouse himself called this shift one of the most overlooked developments in the market. The US went from basically shouting crypto bad to actually quietly admitting, okay, maybe it's not so bad. And get this, the big banks, I'm talking Bank of America, Citi, JP Morgan, they're actually dabbling in crypto now. Stablecoins, custody services, blockchain payment rails, all the stuff that they might have laughed at a few years ago, they're now actively exploring. It's like one day you wake up and the cool kids who said they would never dance are suddenly on the dance floor doing the robot, right? The tide is turning here, and Ripple is right there riding the wave. So, picture the scene. Banks are tiptoeing into crypto, regulators are chilling out just a bit, and Ripple is building a giant bridge between crypto and traditional finance. Perfect storm? Maybe, but Ripple's not leaving it to chance. They have another trick up their sleeve. Beyond just buying companies, Ripple wants to make XRP's tech, the XRP ledger, into a sort of industry standard. Now, according to CNBC, they're looking to license the XRP ledger to major institutions for their own blockchain projects. Now, that means that if some bank or big fintech wants to use blockchain, Ripple is like, sure, use ours, right? We'll even license it to you. Pretty smart move, right? Because more adoption of XRP Ledger could mean more demand for XRP itself, since XRP is the native token. Now, it's kind of like selling shovels in a gold rush, right? Except the shovels are blockchains, and the gold is, well, faster, cheaper transactions. Now, Ripple believes in real-world utility, like making payments super fast and cheap, will actually be the catalyst that finally lifts XRP's price. And all of this is happening while XRP's price has been, let's say, napping. Right, throughout 2025, XRP has basically been trading sideways, not really doing much, while Bitcoin and Ether have been hitting record highs. Now, if you hold XRP, you kind of know the feeling. Watching paint dry might honestly be more exciting than watching XRP's chart lately. But Ripple is betting that building an actual utility now will wake up the price later. And it's kind of what that whole if you build it, they will come kind of vibes. Now, they're betting on high profile partnerships too. Things like imagining a headline Visa chooses XRP for global payment settlement, or JP Morgan adopts XRP Ledger for payments. That kind of news could be a game changer, right? Ripple is planting a lot of seeds, and if any one of them actually could sprout into the next big adoptive wave. Now, before we all start daydreaming about XRP going to the moon and Lamborghinis, we've got to talk about the elephant that's in the room, the regulation. Right, Ripple's grand plans, these kind of big moves, if you will, they are somewhat at the mercy of lawmakers and regulators. And in the US, crypto legislation is still stuck in a bit of limbo. That long-awaited Clarity Act that everyone was hoping for, it's not happened right now. CNBC noted that deal, making at least in traditional finance, is pretty tough because US crypto laws are stifled, right, or stalled out. And hopes for the Clarity Act have basically faded as the government shutdown dragged on, right? Now, seriously, right, 6 weeks of government inaction. You can't make that stuff up. Garninghouse isn't actually sugarcoating this either, right? In his own words, it's going to be hard until we get that regulatory clarity. Right? Banks need clear rules before they fully jump on board with blockchain. And you can't blame them. No bank wants to be the next headline in a crypto crackdown, right? So for all of Ripple's progress, there is still a big wait sign in the road, held up by regulators and politicians. But here is the thing. Ripple is plowing ahead anyway, right? They're not waiting for permission here. They're acting like it's already a given that clarity will eventually come. And I kind of respect that. It's kind of like they're building a rocket ship and just waiting for the storm to pass. Once the sky is clear, once the laws catch up and, all that, they're actually on the launch pad ready to blast off. By the way, I should probably slip this in just to remind all of us here, and it might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your own responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, we had to say that, you know how it goes. Now, let's get back to the story. You see, while Ripple is out there making some power moves with billion-dollar deals, let me kind of share a more down-to-earth crypto experiment that I have been working on. You see, if you've been following the channel, then you've probably heard me talk about Unity nodes many times before. Now, Unity is not the focus for today, but it is a pretty cool project that has actually come from World Mobile and Minutes, and they kind of had a baby together and called it Unity, essentially. And it got me very intrigued. And it ties into this whole theme of making crypto work for you. Now, essentially, Unity nodes lets you turn your spare smartphones into mini crypto earning machines, kind of like making your own little network of devices that validate stuff and you get rewards, right? It's kind of like turning a phone into a tiny part of a decentralized telecoms network and you're getting paid in crypto for it. So I went ahead and I actually got myself a Unity Masternode NFT, which basically gives me 200 licenses. Now think of those as 200 slots for different devices that I can connect to my node. Now, I'm not going to go and deploy 200 phones on day one or do anything crazy. I'm starting off with a small test, 10 phones to see how things work in the real world. And if it goes well, I'll scale it up over time. Now, the cool part is that you can actually choose to get your payouts on a whole bunch of different cryptocurrency assets, not some new unknown token. Now, I've decided to opt for things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, and of course, XRP. It's a neat way to stack and earn some passive crypto over time using just some phones that you have lying around. Now, of course, I cannot stress this enough. This is just my personal experiment. This is not financial advice. People should do their own research before jumping into something like this. Now, I've put some links in the description down below for Unity's light paper and their rewards calculator, so if you are curious, you can check it all out for yourselves. Now, I've mentioned Unity in many videos before, so a lot of you already know that the concept is not new. I just want to share some updates with you as it's kind of going on. In fact, I did take this a step further and I did buy a second and third Unity node. Why 2 more? Well, these are because I plan to lease the licenses out to people who are interested in Unity, but don't want to have to manage a full master node for themselves. Not everyone has the time or the technical know-how to deal with 200 devices, right? So I figured I can share a slice of the pie here. Right? I'll be posting more information about how all this works down in our Discord, so if you're interested, go check the Discord server out. It's linked in the description below. And if it piques your interest, of course, definitely hop into the Discord. It's a great community where we can break down projects like this and help everyone learn. It's free, of course. And of course, speaking of being prepared in the world of crypto, here's a tip that saved my bacon more than once. Always have backup exchanges. Seriously, right? I have accounts on multiple exchanges as a just-in-case plan. For example, if I'm trading on, let's say, BitGet, using one of the affiliate links that I have on the website, and it suddenly goes down, I can just move over to, let's say, Bluefin, right? Now, you never know when one exchange might just freeze up withdrawals or go down at the worst possible time. So I like to treat this like having a plan A, plan B, plan C, right, in crypto. If one door does close, then you have another one to go to. So yeah, right, whether it's experimenting with Unity nodes or lining up a whole backup of exchanges, I'm a believer in staying flexible and ready for whatever happens in the crypto universe. So there's a link in the description down below to my website where I list all of the exchanges that I do personally use. And on the website, you'll find all of the affiliate links for those exchanges. So if you do sign up to any of the exchanges using those links, it actually supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. That's full transparency. But whether you use my links or not, it doesn't matter. The strategy still remains true. So I do want to just point out, though, if you do go down into the description, click that link to the website and use any of those links, I want to just say a big thank you to you guys because it really does support the channel here and it means an awful lot to us. Now, let's zoom back out to Ripple and the bigger picture. Because if you ask me what Ripple is doing with XRP right now, all these acquisitions, partnerships, and big ideas, it feels like we're on the verge of something huge. Now, they're not behaving like a regular crypto startup anymore. They're morphing into a full-scale financial service powerhouse that happens to use crypto at its core. It's kind of like watching a caterpillar turn into a butterfly, or maybe more fitting, watching a fintech startup quietly transform into the next JP Chase, but with blockchain under the hood. For those of us in the XRP community, this feels like a little bit of vindication. How many times have people written off XRP as just a joke, or called it a banker's coin? That would never amount to anything, right? Well, yet here we are, seeing signs that XRP could end up playing a pivotal role at the center of global finance. I mean, I'm trying not to get too giddy here, but if that doesn't make you at least a little bit excited, I'm not sure what will. Now, let's stay grounded because nothing is guaranteed. We talked about the roadblocks, right? This could all be taking much longer than we all want. There are scenarios where things just don't pan out. Maybe regulators drag on for years, right? And banks decide to just use different technology, right? That's the reality that we do have to keep in our minds. But the way that I see it, Ripple is stacking the odds in their own favor. They are laying down the tracks for the train before anyone even hears that it is coming down the line. A year or two from now, and, when the regulations finally do fall into place and the banks get the green light, Ripple will have an entire ecosystem ready to plug and play, right? And that could be the moment where XRP's utility truly translates into the kind of price action that makes all of us long-term holders sit back and say, wow, it was worth the wait. Imagine a future where whenever you actually send money internationally or settle a big transaction, XRP is quietly working in the background, making it all happen in seconds for a fraction of a penny. Most people might not even realize that XRP is involved there. Just like most people sending an email don't think about the internet protocols that sit underneath it, but it could become the invisible engine moving value across the world. That is the vision that's coming into focus now, and Ripple is doing everything in its power to make that a reality. My personal takeaway from this whole journey, Ripple is playing the long game, and it's starting to pay off in a very real ways. This isn't just hype, it's a strategy, and as an XRP holder, seeing these developments makes me more optimistic than I have been in a long time. It feels like we're watching history quietly being made, one partnership or one acquisition at a time. Whether XRP eventually or actually ends up taking over the world of finance or not, one thing is for sure, it's going to be one heck of a ride finding out. And I, for one, am glad to be on this journey with all of you guys. So if you've learned something new today, or you're just as excited as I am for coming, or at least about what's coming, then you can do me a favor by hitting that like button and that subscribe button and joining me for the next adventure. Trust me, you don't want to miss what is coming next.